My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jake and I are going to break down our bets for UFC 276. And before we jump in, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, and we send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. It's an interesting card. I got a couple of interesting bets. You guys are going to hate me for this, but I am on a streak here. 2 weeks in a row, I hit every single bet that I showed you on the screen in these videos. Every single one. I haven't missed one. So I'm hoping to keep that going, but I am little exposed with the women fights here, and I know you guys absolutely love that shit. So we got Jessica Rose Clark minus 140. I think she's just so much better than her opponent everywhere except the ground. The ground will be the issue. But why would Jessica take this to the ground? She's such a better striker. She won't need to, and hopefully her fight IQ stays intact. She's coming off that submission loss in her last fight, and maybe that was the wake-up call she needed, right? Why go to the ground when I don't need to? Then Maycee Barber minus 230. She is fighting a tried-and-true legend here. But again, I think she's just better. I think her striking is better. She's got better footwork, and I think she's going to piece up Jessica I and dance around. Jaylen Turner is minus 119 when I jumped on this. I think that line has moved quite a bit, but so I got to watch the quick pick videos because I put this bet in there last Sunday. And Jaylen Turner, he's got insane power. He's got very good grappling. He's very, very long, and he uses it really well. He's fighting a better striker. It's just as far as technique, raw technique is concerned. Yes, his opponent is the better striker, but Jaylen is more dangerous, should be faster, and has more ways to win, especially if you work in the grappling. And then Donald Cerrone. I think Donald Cerrone loses this fight, so I just want to be as clear as possible there. I do think Donald loses this fight, but at the end of the day, we have a 39-year-old taking on a 38-year-old. Donald Cerrone has fought for a title. He's beaten 3 current and former champions. And he has the better career than Jim Miller. He's the better fighter than Jim Miller. He is older. He's a little worn out. His chin is gone. But he is talking about all these life decisions he's making. So while I do think Jim Miller wins this fight, and that is solely based off his last 2 fights, I thought it was crazy to not throw a couple of bucks on Donald Cerrone at plus 185. I mean, that's good money on a guy like Donald Cerrone fighting another. He's not fighting a young stud. He's fighting another old guy who's going to look old very soon. And then I have my lady parlay. So I'm all in on Jessica Rose Clark and Maycee Barber. If the 2 of them win, I've got units all over the place. If one of them loses, I'll hit a money line on the other, and this parlay drops. But I am confident in both of them, so I smacked them together, and I got plus 120. What do you got going, Jake?
Feeling good this week. Feeling real good. I kind of narrowed it down. A lot of times, especially for the pay-per-view cards, I have exposure pretty much everywhere. And I'm sure as the fights go on, we'll be placing some live bets again. You can follow my Twitter for that if you're interested for that. But let's start with Alex Pereira. He is the lock of the week. He started off as, I think, a plus 140 dog and came all the way to almost a minus 130. And I think it's basically a pick 'em now, minus 110 both ways, either way. Listen, this fight is pretty straightforward in my mind. If it continues to be a striking battle, as Sean Strickland says, I think his striking is a joke, Alex Pereira should be able to knock him out. But if Sean Strickland wants to wrestle, obviously Alex Pereira could be in some issue here. So we'll see how the lock week plays out. I wanted a dynamic striker, and that's what I got. I mean, there's nobody is more dynamic as a striker in the UFC probably than Alex Pereira. So 1.5 units at minus 123. Obviously, you can get better odds now. The actual, probably what should have been the lock of the week, especially when I saw him sport those overalls, look fantastic at the press conference. I think he only got to answer one question, the poor guy, but was Brian Barberino. And that's nothing against Robbie Lawler. Obviously, we all love Robbie. I think Robbie Lawler actually got the loudest applause out of everyone that was on stage at the press conference. He just isn't there anymore, right? Robbie is not the same Robbie you used to seeing, and not that Brian is this world beater of a fighter, but he should be able to withstand the more of the volume punching for Robbie now, because Robbie doesn't really have that power that he used to have, and bring back some volume on his own. So whether he finishes Robbie, I don't know, but I think he should be able to win that fight fairly easily. And I know a lot of people are pretty high on Brian. I'm surprised that it's still plus money, because the general consensus is he's like definitely going to beat Robbie, but there's a lot of money still on Robbie since he's still the favorite. So 2 units on Brian. Jim Miller, I'm playing the opposite of Angelo here. Listen, I get it. Cowboy probably is in his prime, beats Jim Miller. Have they fought
Did.
before?
Yeah, literally did.
Did beat Jim Miller. But, this is simply what have you done for me lately? Jim Miller is still winning fights against younger prospects. Cowboy. Gabe Green, Ian Gary, I went under 2.5 rounds. I think these boys go after it, especially Ian Gary. I think he tries to get that flashy knockout. Gabe Green has been dropped before. He is a tough opponent. And, my pick is Ian Gary in this fight, but he does hold his chin up at times. So instead of playing one side or the other, because I know a lot of people are either hate Ian Gary or love him as a striker, I think he's pretty good as a striker. I just took the under 2.5. So if there's a finish, get paid either way. Same thing for the Riddell, Jaylen Turner. I have Jaylen Turner. I like that pick for Angelo with the money line bet. But, Brad Riddell is a very good striker. If these boys start getting after it, somebody knocks out somebody and it isn't Jaylen Turner, I'm still going to win my bet. I got minus 150 on that earlier in the week. I know yesterday it was minus 190. It might be even more than that now. This is my biggest bet of the card. 3 units on that, so I'm hoping they really, really get after it, and Brad Riddell does not use as much wrestling as we've seen in the past few fights. Andre Muniz, this is a bet that was actually surprising. Early in the week, I got the minus 3.5 bet, the same odds as inside the distance. And what that means is I get the same odds as inside the distance, but I'm also covered minus 3.5 on the judges' scorecards. He has to either win inside the distance or win on all 3 judges' scorecards 30-27. He cannot drop around. I think he wins inside the distance, but I was able to get the same odds and cover that decision bet as well at minus 170. It's minus 200 as of yesterday. It might even be worse than that. Originally, I put 1.7 units on that to get a unit back, and you're only going to find that bet on Bet Online. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up for any of our affiliates. Get your $50 free. Place this bet with me and let's win some money. Do you want to add to that, or is that pretty good?
No, that was a good pitch, man. Good pitch.
That was pretty good. I appreciate that. Parlay, 3 big favorites, stacked them up, plus 115. Pretty self-explanatory. And, of course, it's a pay-per-view card. We got to have some fun with the parlay. These are some round lines I like the unders on, and I just stacked them all up. I only put a half unit on it, but plus 1,400. You can go through there. Adesanya, Cannonier. I think Izzy is able to find the finish that he's looking for. Again, I doubled down on the Gary Green under 2.5. Sugar, under 2.5. Munoz has never been finished, but he says he's going to finish them, so I'll put some money on that. And Duplessis and Brad Tavares, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. All were pretty much even money. Stacked them all up, half unit. We're making money this week, baby. Feeling good. Lock of the week's hitting. Feeling good. Go ahead.
You punched your microphone there.
I think it's broken. Can you hear me? Still there?
That's solid odds on that parlay. The O'Malley one worries me because Pedro Munoz has never been stopped. And O'Malley barely stopped Chris Motino, and there's no way Pedro Munoz gets hit as much as Chris Motino got hit in that fight. That's the one that worries me here. Adesanya, Cannonier, that should be. If Cannonier wins, it's definitely under 4.5. And Adesanya, that could go to a decision if he's afraid of the power, but Cannonier is going to slow down later in that fight, and Adesanya should be able to touch him.
You know what's interesting about the Izzy fight is if Alex Pereira puts out Sean Strickland, Izzy might be trying to make a statement on top of his statement with Cannonier. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of plot lines going into this pay-per-view. It's not the greatest pay-per-view as far as star power is concerned, but there's a lot of really fun fights. I'm really curious about a lot of these guys. Is Ian Gary as good as they say? Is Andre Muniz as good as they say? Is Sean O'Malley going to actually be inside the top 10? What's going to happen with Alex Pereira? Lots of interesting plot lines going on here. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you, and join our free Discord to share your thoughts and your bets. That link is in the description.